Okay, thanks so much for having a quick chat with me today about Noah and Halloween. So obviously Halloween's coming up, and I'm a little bit anxious, to be honest with you, about how to prepare him and how I can help him get the best out of the Halloween experience, really. So if you've got any advice, that would be great.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things to think about is what has been the conversation around it, and what has he been able to communicate about what his expectations are. Like, is he excited about the candy, or is he excited about dressing up? Does he like the decorations? So really emphasizing what it is that he's excited about, and making sure that you're also preparing him for the other pieces, just so they won't be surprises.
Okay, great. So I think that will probably help with his anxiety around the dressing up and getting prepared for it. So what would your kind of best bit of advice be for when we're outside? It's going to be nighttime, it's going to be kind of a different environment. I would imagine there's going to be a lot of other children around. So how do you think I can best kind of try and help him with his anxiety if his anxiety levels go up?
Being able to think about it proactively goes a long way
Right.
to helping you just know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it might even help you to think about what level he might be able to tolerate, because a little bit of anxiety is actually helpful. It pushes you through some of those uncomfortable things, and you can end up having a really good time.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, that anxiety gets to be too much, and then it's going to make it not fun for anyone.
Right.
So knowing him well enough to know what those signs are of where his anxiety level is at, and then following his lead, as well as having ideas of what your options could be. So for example, if he's feeling nervous about leaving the house, and he's dragging his feet, or any of that is hard, thinking about what are some of the things that are negotiable. So for instance, if he has a piece of his costume that's uncomfortable, or he doesn't want to carry a piece of it, or he doesn't want to carry his own bucket, is that something that's negotiable? Like, yeah, I can carry your bucket, you can leave your hat at home, not a big deal. So be willing to accept some of those things that he might resist in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then helping him take that first step is really key. So if getting out the front door is hard, you could say, well, we could just go sit on the steps for a minute and watch and see what's happening outside. Or, what we could do? We could just walk down to the corner, and if it's not feeling right, we'll come right back. So giving him, yes, there's permission to opt out, but not opt out completely.
Okay, that's great advice. Thank you. And I think the last one, which is really important for me as well, is just how to prepare myself, because I'm already feeling, I mean, your advice is great, but I'm already feeling quite anxious myself. And I think I'm probably anticipating things that might not even happen, as parents do. So I think your advice really is to how I can kind of keep myself calm and stop any anxiety that I have ahead of time, so that we can just try and enjoy the moment together, and just try, just test the water and see how it goes.
And I think that's, knowing your own levels as well. When can you still be there for him, and when are you so anxious that you can't really help bring him back? And I think what's really key for parents is we do have the ability to see ahead and to pre-plan. And what we can do is take some time for ourselves, either the day before, the hour before, even the week before, to pour into ourselves and to take care of our needs as much as we can, so that we feel really nourished and we're coming from a place that we have resources. So for whatever your self-care practices are, it might be you go to the spa, it might be you take a bubble bath, it might be you go for a walk with a friend, whatever it is that helps you feel grounded and centered and resourced, you want to make sure you build in some time for that. Yeah. And then in the moment, just remember to breathe.
That's a really great advice. Yeah.
One of my favorite sayings is that fear and excitement are the same thing, just with fear, you forget to breathe. So just remembering to breathe will help you kind of, this is exciting. This is a big experience, and you want to have fun. And so if you remember to breathe, you can lean into the fun and try and leave the fear at home.
That's great. Thank you, Sarah. And one last question for you, which I think is probably a little bit more tricky for you to answer, because it's the anticipation of how everyone else is going to react to Noah and his reactions, if that makes sense. So, you know, we could have Noah in his element with no anxiety, just enjoying every single moment. However, we might see some other sides to Noah on the evening. And obviously it's quite a short period of time. You know, there's a lot of people around on our street, our neighbors, that might necessarily not seen Noah in these kind of situations. So would there be any advice that you can give, maybe that we can share beforehand, just to help him and help them understand?
Yeah, I think with the social interaction, that's always going to be a tricky piece. And I've had some parents before that will have a little card, like a little business card for their child to hand, or a sibling or a friend to hand to whoever's door they're at, just explaining, hey, I have autism. I may not feel like speaking, but I really appreciate, you know, this experience, whatever it might be. You know, if you aren't worried about him being verbal and you think that he's going to be able to interact, you know, have a script for him. So this is what you say, and this is what you do, and let him practice it. He can practice it on your front door, on your bedroom door, you know, give him that opportunity ahead of time to feel successful with his script. And then I think the best thing you can do is to step back and not hover, because the more you're anxious about the interaction going well, the less likely it is to go well.
Okay.
So if you've prepared him, and you don't owe it to your neighbors to understand. You really don't. I think for you to allow them to have the experience of Noah for themselves, unaltered, unexplained. Yes, there may be some situations where people don't know how to respond, but that's on them. And I think as long as you can love Noah and you can be that safe place for him to return to if something feels a little scary or weird, then you've done your job.